All right, hey guys. So this is the last lesson for Unit 4.1. We're gonna finish this off with two-way frequency tables. This is lesson 6, technically. Um, so I'm gonna try to keep this one pretty short. This will be the lesson for Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday we're gonna take a test on this. Just a reminder, if you still haven't finished the last test, you really gotta work on that. I'm going to start putting in zeros, guys. But let's go ahead and do this. So we're doing two-way frequency tables. Basically, the idea here is we have one variable, say, gender over here, and that could be considered girls and boys. And then there is another variable over here, and that's whether or not did they eat or did they skip their breakfast. So not only does it break it down by each gender, but it breaks it down by whether girls or boys ate or skipped breakfast. So that's where the two-way comes from. It's dealing with this variable and this variable as well. Now there might be a lot of different options when it comes to this. They could be eat. They could, sometimes there's more options, but generally for these examples we're going to go over, there's only going to be like an either or sort of situation. One quick thing that I wanted to point out, because this is just a silly thing that honestly I always just have to think about in the back of my head, is the difference between a row and a column. A row goes horizontally, so it's this right here going from left to right is a row, and then a column is the vertical. So this here is a column, this is a column, this is a column, and that's a column. So just in case you needed a reminder on that, because I often do. Okay, so a frequency table, or a two-way frequency table. Hopefully you guys can see, the video's a little off today. Okay, so two categorical variables can be represented with a two-way frequency table, sort of like what I showed you just a second ago. It's also known as a contingency table. So you're going to see this referred to as either one of these. I'll probably call it a frequency table more often. So just to kind of get right into an example here. So this is a bunch of information here. It says 149 elementary students were asked to choose whether they prefer math or English. The data was then broken down by gender. So we have a variable of gender, and we have a variable of do they prefer math or English. So it gives us our information here. We have 42 males that prefer math, 47 males that prefer English, 35 girls that prefer math, and 25 girls that prefer English. So the way we broke this down, if we're going to enter all of this information, is that 42 males liked math, whereas 47 males liked English. They meet right there in the middle. Females, 35 liked math, and 25 liked English. Now, the thing that's going to be a little bit different here is this is our data right here, and then we're going to total it. So for males, it only told us that there were 42 that liked math and 47 that liked English, right? But if I add those two together, I get 89 males were surveyed. So a total of 89 males were surveyed. If we take 35 and 25 for the females, we get 60. Then if we look, at our columns, we see that a total of 42 and 35 of both genders liked math. Add those together, we get 77. And then for English, it's 47 boys and 25 girls, adding up to 72. So we can also go vertically like this. Now this one here in the corner is the total of males and females that were surveyed in total. So 89 plus 60 is 149. And it even says that up here, 149 students total. So that's the And we can even do it this way too. 77 plus 72, 149. So that's what this is going to look like, a two-way frequency table. This next part here, it says the total frequency for any row or column is called a marginal frequency. So remember when we added up these rows here and these columns here, that is called a marginal frequency when we add them together. So the marginal frequency of males in either category of math or English was 89. For females in total, 35 and 25 gave us 60. And then, same thing with these guys here. And I kind of drew an arrow that you can see. Now, joint frequencies are the counts in the body of the table that join one variable from one row and one variable from a column. So that's where we get that 149 total. All right. So this next up example here, it says for the same information, just like before, it wants us to point out the relative frequency. So now relative frequency is where we divide each of the counts by the overall total. So if we look back up here, the overall total was this guy right here, right? So we're going to take each count and we're going to divide it by 149 for each of these pieces of data. And that's going to get us the relative frequency. So as you can see here, we're going to take 42 divided by 149, and we're going to get a decimal. For almost all of these, you're going to get a decimal. The only one you're not is the total that's down here, because 149 over 149 gives us 1. So again, I took 35 divided by 149, gets me 0.235. I take 77, I divide it, I get 0.517, so on and so on, like that. And again, that is a relative frequency. All right, so just to show another example of this, this one is saying that members of a choir were given the choice between singing in the style of Romanticism or Gothic for a state competition. And it was also broken down by gender again. You'll see that as a very common example kind of problem for these sorts of concepts. So we have 48 males that preferred Romanticism, 63 males preferred Gothic, 59 females preferred Romanticism, and 62 females preferred Gothic. So it set up the chart for us, and I went ahead and filled in the information. So 48 males preferred Romanticism, 63 males preferred Gothic, giving us a total of 111 males in total. Females were 59 that preferred Romanticism. Females preferred Gothic. That count was 62. When I add these guys up, they get 121. Now, in terms of if we're focusing on just the Romanticism versus the Gothic, if I head down on my columns here, 48 boys and 59 girls give me a total of 107. 63 and 62 gives me 125. And then here, there was a total of 232 females and males that were surveyed for this. So this is our total right here. Now it's going to ask us some questions here. Let's see if I can get everything on the screen. Okay, there we go. So the first part just wanted to fill out this chart here. The second part says, which style was preferred as a state competition piece and by what percentage? So this is where we're going to take the relative frequency, So if you remember just a few minutes ago, the relative frequency is where we take the count and we divide it by the total. So our total here is 232. And it's saying which style. So the styles are Gothic and Romanticism. And we're going to look at these numbers right here. So for Gothic, there was 125 in total. I divide it by 232 and I get 0.539. If I turn that into a percentage, that would be 53.9%. For Romanticism, there was a total of 107. I divide that by 232 and I get 0.461. If I turn that into a percentage, I get 46.1%. So now, which style was preferred? The percentage for Gothic was bigger, so that's why Gothic was preferred. You know, and you could even look at the number itself. 125 people preferred Gothic versus 107 for Romantic. Now, this one is getting a little bit more specific. Which style was preferred most by males? So we're only going to look at this row right here. So all we have to do is look at the numbers. 48 preferred Romantic, 63 preferred Gothic. So which number is bigger? It's Gothic with 63. This third part is asking, what does this represent right here? And I know it's a little hard to see, but it looks like this. What does that fraction represent? So what we need to do is we need to look up here for that 125. We know 232 is our total, which is right here, but what does that 125 represent? So, you know, just go through your data, look for it. Oh, it's right here. So that 125 is the total of this number and this number, totaling 125. So that is both males and females that preferred Gothic. So that is the marginal relative frequency of people who preferred to sing Gothic. All right. And that's about it, guys. I think this one was pretty simple. We'll have a Khan Academy for it. We'll have a test on Friday, and that's about it. Make sure if you're doing any of your past work that you either message me or fill out the Google form. I updated a lot on Tuesday, and I did send out emails to parents for kids and students that are failing or haven't shown up. Make sure you're doing those attendance checks. Please, please, please. Thank you.